Good morning, dear children. How are you all? Hope you all are keeping healthy lifestyle and strictly maintaining hygiene. I am Priyanka Malik from the SD Vidya School. Again, I am back with my next topic, that is reforms in Indian agriculture or agrarian reforms in Indian agriculture. We can categorize these reforms into three types: technical reforms, land reforms, which is also called institutional reforms, and general reforms. We'll discuss these reforms one by one. First is technical reforms. Use of HYV seeds. You have heard this HYV, high yielding variety of seeds. Since 1965, HYV seeds have replaced the conventional varieties. HYV seeds, especially relating to wheat, rice, maize, jowar, have led to substantial rise in the crop productivity. This breakthrough is popularly known as Green Revolution, that we will discuss in our next clip. All right. Second is use of chemical fertilizers. Chemical fertilizers are being increasingly used to enhance productivity. Use of insecticides and pesticides for crop production. Steps have been initiated to protect crops against diseases and insects by judiciously using insecticides and pesticides. Next is mechanized means of cultivation. Several measures have been taken to spread the use of means of cultivation. To enable small farmers to buy agriculture machines, cheap credit facilities are also provided. So these are the technical reforms in agriculture. Next one is land reforms, institutional reforms. First one is abolition of intermediaries, popularly known as zamindari system. At the time of independence, the land tenure system, which we have discussed yesterday, was characterized by intermediaries called as zamindars, jagirdars, all right, who merely collected rent from the actual tillers of soil without contributing towards improvements on the farm. All right. Second is regulation of rent. Rent have been fixed now. Now the rent have been fixed, and 1/3, generally these are not to exceed 1/3 of the value of the crop, to put an end to excessive and illegal extortions from the cultivators. Rent have been fixed. Third is consolidation of small and scattered land holdings. With a view to reducing fragmentation, steps have been initiated and implying holding of a farmer at one place rather than scattered in the piece at several places. All right. Next is cooperative farming. As you know this, cooperative farming is encouraged to further consolidate the gains of consolidation of land holdings. It is encouraged also to enhance bargaining power of the smallholders in the competitive marketing structure. All right. Next are general reforms. These are very important. The general reforms. First one is expansion of irrigation facilities. Irrigation facilities have been provided to farmers to supply the required quantity of water. All right. At present, nearly 50% of land under cultivation as compared to 15% only in 1950. And through this, dry farming has also been encouraged. Second is credit facilities. Cooperative credit societies. All right. Cooperative credit societies and rural development banks have been established to meet the financial requirement of the farmers. NABARD, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, was also established to provide credit facilities to farmers at national level in 1982. All right. Third one is organized marketing system. There have been regular markets being established in all the parts of the country. Government has set up, all right, now government has set up market committees which govern these markets, and provision for storage houses has also been made. Cooperative marketing societies have also been established which also help farmers to bargain their products. right? And the last one is most important, minimum support price policy. It is a price support policy initiated by government to encourage farmers to increase prices. All right, in this policy government fixes a price higher than the market price, and if farmers are not able to sell their production at increased price, government buy this surplus at increased price, and government keeps this surplus in its buffer stock and uses it during the time of emergencies. Today government is doing this, right? In the COVID-19, government uses it during the time of emergencies. They have collected the buffer stock from the farmers, they keep it as a buffer stock and use at the time of emergencies like flood, earthquake, famines, etc. All right, thank you.